How you guys doing?
Good. Are you still rotating at left tackle?
Andre just got back. How many days has he been back? 2?
Yes.
Yeah. So right now with him just getting back, he's working with the 2s and Jordan's working with the 1s.
So you're not decided on that position?
Not decided now.
Nick, what's your philosophy on kind of scripting the openers in your game plan, and how did you sort of formulate a plan, or who did you talk to figure out how you want to do that?
As far as the openers go, like you're saying, like the first 15, right. Talking through that. Yeah, there's a checklist of things we like to hit. Obviously, I'm going to keep that in-house, but I've done a ton of studying on that, and every place I've been, whether it's been last year obviously as the coordinator, last 3 years as coordinator, or even as a quarterback coach or a receiver coach, and always with Frank when Frank was coordinator, even back our days in San Diego, we did those openers together. It's a lot of things that you want to get to a fast start. So a lot of things that you like and you think are gonna work out well, and that's kind of how we think through it. But there's a lot of different things that we look at of how we want to start a game, how we want to marry things together, etc.
When during the week do you finalize that?
Well, you want to see all the practices, right? You want to see Wednesday, Thursday, Friday practice. So it's usually Friday and Saturday morning, Friday afternoon, Saturday morning when you're doing that. If you're feeling, there's some plays though that you go on Thursday night, this one's going to be in because you practice it twice on Wednesday and Thursday. So it's usually anywhere between Thursday and Saturday.
And based off of what you've seen this summer, what kind of a season do you think Miles Sanders is in store for? And what's your philosophy when it comes to rotating running backs? Are you a heavy rotation guy, ride the lead back? What's your philosophy?
I've obviously been impressed with Miles' ability to play. I think he's a very talented back. Excited about the things he's going to be able to do this year for our team. As far as that goes, we like to keep guys fresh. So if Miles needs a break, and we'll have a guy in there to sub him. And then also too with our passing game. There's definitely things Miles can do, but we also have some other backs that we want to, like with Kenny, rotate in, and Boston's doing a good job of that as well.
Nick, in your experience in the evaluation process, how much can you really get from this last week of joint practices and preseason when you're trying to make decisions on the roster?
Oh, I think a lot. Yeah, I think a lot. I think you get a lot of just all this work, this joint practices. Again, I've said it multiple times. It's game-like, and the guys are juiced up to go and roll. So you're seeing what they'd be like in a game, all right? And so very important part of the process of how we evaluate and who we keep on this team.
At some point soon, obviously, with Andre Dillon just getting back and everything, it seemed like you would a lot of now either your left tackle's going to be going into the season. Are you kind of getting to that point where it's?
You've seen who's been working with the ones at every position, or at who are the guys that have been working with the ones. That's who we're seeing as our starters at this point. That doesn't mean we've made a decision there. Again, Andre just got back from I thought Andre was having a great camp. I think Jordan's having a great camp. It's just Jordan's been able to go the entire camp where Andre had that setback. So that's just one that still needs to play itself out. But with where they are right now is just because of the injury situation, and Jordan will stay with the ones today and for today.
Do you expect the starters to play on Friday?
Still, that's still the same thing. We're still talking through that. We're evaluating. We saw yesterday was great work. We got really good work. Guys are sore, and we know that. And today's going to be good work, right? And so we're expecting to come out here today and have really good work, and then just every guy is a case-by-case scenario.
Jalen mentioned the speed at the wide receiver positions, particularly Quez, Jalen, and Monte. How does their speed sort of help the run game, in that they can kind of keep the back end of the defense sort of honest?
Yeah, I think anytime you're like, hey, I got 2 players right here. Who do I want? This guy or this guy? Well, this guy. They're similar skill sets, but this guy's way faster. You're always going to pick the guy that's faster. It's just a game that the game in general is speed helps you, and so it's nice to have those 3 guys that can really run. They help it in every aspect. They blow the top off the coverage in the pass game, and they can run their guys out of there in the run game, and they can not only run guys out of there, but if you have major speed, teams will play different defenses and keep a lighter box. to help out in the run game as well. So we're hoping that that's the case here with these guys. The defenses look at us like that, and we get little lighter boxes because they're afraid of the deep ball and the big play.
When you first got camp, you said that Hurts' presence doesn't box in with the 12 personnel. But with both Hurts and Goddard, how do you get enough snaps for them without, leaning into 12 personnel?
It's good. It's a good problem to have. All right, a really good problem to have because you got two really good players right there. I mean, they're really efficient. You look at all our catch charts throughout the entire preseason practices. Like they're both right up there with the most catches in team periods, and they're up there with the most targets, and they're up there with the highest percentage. So, you always want to get your best players on the field, and so that doesn't mean just because we want to be a little bit more 11 than 12, that doesn't mean you don't mix it in and work through it. So, again, we're looking at all our different packages to give the defense different looks to look at, and when we have two tight ends like that 12 personnel, that will cause people some fits.
When you finally got to sit down with Jalen Hurts and learn what he knew about scheme and playing the quarterback based upon his previous year in the NFL, what did you find, and how did you approach that in terms of you teaching him how you wanted to teach him?
Yeah, you know what? It was more about, hey, here's how we teach you to read stuff. Here's how we teach you. Here's what this is good against. Here's what that's good against. It wasn't, and there's some questions like, hey, what have you hit this against before in the past? But it was really just, hey, here's this play concept, or here's this concept of plays, and here's how we're reading this, and here's the look. Here's the looks of what we like it, and here's the looks when we don't like it. So it really wasn't a ton of talk about his past scenarios. He understood what we were talking about. He understood how we wanted to read it, so I assume that he had reps in the past going over those things.
Nick, to sort of follow up on a previous question about how do you decide on your starters. 16 days between Friday and the season opener. I know there's a lot of factors that go into it, but is there any concern along those lines that that's such an unprecedented time between the end of the preseason and the season opener, and does that factor into the decision?
Of playing guys Friday? Again, same thing. It's everybody's in a case. This is a brand new territory that we're in, right? And we don't plan on taking 2 weeks off before Atlanta, right? We plan on working our tails off that week, particularly that, we know what the week's going to look like before Atlanta, very similar to a week that's going to look like in week 4 or week 7 or whatever, that week's spelled out. And we're gonna work our tails off that 2 weeks before. So we're gonna work hard in that time frame. So again, it's all case by case of what we're gonna do. Again, this is great. I love this work that we're getting, and with these 2 joint practices and the 3 preseason games, to me that's what seven preseason games in my mind of how we've been working.
Nick, recently Jalen Hurts had a lot of success in one-on-ones. What does it take for a receiver, specifically him in this case, to translate that into team situations as a game?
Yeah, I mean, I guess in team situations, you're up. Hey, there's a 40-second clock and you're up again. And there's a 40-second clock and you're up again. There's a 40-second clock and you're up again. And we're not really snapping it at 1 every time. So it's really like, 20 to 25 seconds to just sustain that conditioning, all right, throughout the whole thing. What the one-on-ones are there to do is to really perfect your technique and perfect your fundamentals, and see if the talent that you have and the fundamentals that you've learned is going to win your one-on-one matchups, because that's what this league's about. It's all the one-on-one matchups that you got to win. And so, those are great experiences for him, and he's doing a really good job of winning those one-on-one battles there. And now it's just, hey, can you sustain that play to play to play to play?
Get into that level, what does it take?
That's what practice is for, right? Is to go those. That's why they're going 6 plays in a row, 7 plays in a row, to simulate the drive. So it's the combination of the one-on-ones and then the practice reps that they do.
When you sit down to figure out whether Jalen will play Friday, do you factor in what Jalen wants, if he thinks he needs to work? How much does his voice come into that equation?
We listen to all. We take all. Everybody's opinion is taken into consideration, and we listen to everybody of what we want to do, and the player, we got to listen to the player and hear what they're thinking too. But again, at the end of the day, it's my job to do what's best for the football team. So group effort and everything, but at the end of the day, I know my name's on it, and I gotta do what's best, what I think the best for the football team.
You talked about how important you think it is to talk to the players who you release, because the importance of connection. How heavily is on the looming roster
Yeah, that's a hard part of the profession, and like I didn't just start doing it. I met with these players as a coordinator. You know, I always wanted to meet with all the offensive guys in Indy, and then as a position coach, same thing. It's never fun. It's never, because these guys they've built the culture that we have today, right? And they've worked so hard, and it's always it's a tough thing. But you know what? There's a lot of things about my job that are tough, and you know, so the focus, I don't let it weigh on me. You know, when they come in, I want to have a good thought of what I want to say to them, what they need to work on to help them stick somewhere else, what they need to perfect in their craft. But I try not to let it weigh on me at this time, because we got so many other things to do of getting guys ready to play in that first game in practice today.
The receivers have talked about the versatility of where they line up, outside versus slot. Do you have a preference though for who you think is better suited to the slot of those top 3 guys that we've seen?
To me, I wouldn't say that, because to me everything's based off of it's play by play of who does this best. Like, so in the slot, who has the best yards after catch that we want to throw a screen to, for instance, or whatever, throw in a reverse to. Who is the fastest guy that we want to run, and the most creative guy on a crossing route that we want to run that to? Who's the guy with the best feel that we want to run an option route to? So there's all these questions that you have of who does what best. And that's why it's not, I never really like to look at it like this guy plays X, this guy plays Z, this guy plays slot. They're very interchangeable to me. And they've always been in my career. So, and what the other thing that does is when you're willing to switch guys around, is it makes it very difficult to the defense to see what you're doing. Like, what are they doing now? Why is this guy here? Why is it? Every defensive coordinator I've talked to that shares, like, that's what they always say. It's a nightmare preparing for you guys, because you guys constantly are mixing guys around. What was your other question?
I was just wondering how much, in fact, like, you know, is there, I don't think there's a percentage, but how much can the outside guy go inside? How much can the inside go out?
I think a lot. Now, to me, there is a time that, and I've had guys like this in my career, like, outside guys, I always think can find things that they can do inside, because there's a lot of routes that are the same. There are some inside slot receivers that don't have the ability to move outside, because it's just a little bit bigger of a game. But guys that are outside guys, I always think can move in and do certain things in there. I'm not saying they can do everything, but do certain things. But the only thing where I limit a guy is ever, and it says, hey, this guy's a slot and he's a slot only, and I don't see that out of our guys. I think they all have flexibility.
Last one, guys. They haven't put a timetable on the cloud or Dickerson yet, but their roster status depends on a timetable. Do you expect either one back within the first 6 weeks of the season?
Again, that's, yeah, right now we're saying that those guys, where are we at here, Bob? Week to week. Yeah, they're week to week. So, again, just no timetable. I mean, we're hoping the sooner the better, but no timetable on any of those guys.
I mean, they would, if McLeod's not on up, he has to be on 53.
Right.
So do you have to know what that timeline is specifically by next week?
And yeah, and that's what we're talking through with the doctors, and we're talking through with the medical staff and the training staff. So yes, those are important discussions that we have to have, and that we have been having.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys.